It started with a smile and ended with "fuck this show." Jennifer Lopez, a name synonymous with global stardom, glamour, and grace, walked onto the set of The View, expecting another routine stop on her press tour, a couple of lighthearted questions, a few laughs, and a plug for her latest project. But what she got instead was a televised takedown that left the entire studio breathless. The moment she sat across from Joy Behar, who was filling in as lead host that morning, it was clear something was off. The air was tense, the small talk was strained, and the very first question, it didn't just miss the mark. It detonated a powder keg. What was supposed to be a friendly conversation turned into a full-blown confrontation with personal jabs, icy sarcasm, and one of the most stunning walkouts daytime TV has ever seen. This wasn't just uncomfortable, it was brutal, and the cameras caught every second of it. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and drop your thoughts. In the comments, was Jennifer justified in walking away? Or should she have stood her ground and finished the interview? Jennifer Lopez had done this 1,000 times. Walk onto a brightly lit set, smile for the cameras, chat about her latest film or tour, and charm the audience with that signature mix of warmth and poise. She knew the drill. That morning on The View was supposed to be no different. The audience was buzzing. Phones hovered midair as fans tried to capture their moment with the superstar. Crew members gave thumbs up. Hosts were smiling. Everything looked normal, at least on the surface. Jennifer slid into her seat beside Joy Behar, who was stepping in as lead interviewer for the day. But something was ... off. Joy barely glanced at her guest. She fiddled with her note cards, like they were an afterthought, eyes cold, tone clipped. No friendly banter. No polite welcome. Just a quiet tension hanging in the air. Then the cameras rolled. Joy leaned in, eyes sharp, voice dripping with passive-aggressive.com. "So, Jennifer, let's talk about your new movie. Another rom-com, right? Basically the same role you've been playing for the last 2 decades. Don't you ever get tired of playing it safe?" The words landed like a slap. The studio fell still. Even the crew seemed caught off guard. A boom mic froze mid-swing. The energy shifted, and suddenly this wasn't an interview anymore. It was a challenge. Jennifer blinked, caught between confusion and composure, but she didn't flinch. "Well, Joy," she began, keeping her voice even, "I think audiences connect with love stories because those emotions are timeless. I try to bring something fresh to every role, even when the genre is familiar." It was a graceful answer. But Joy didn't let up. "Fresh." Joy let out a dry laugh and leaned back, "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks more like a formula, one you've been cashing in on over and over again. Career woman meets unlikely love interest. Haven't we seen this movie 10 times already?" The other co-hosts exchanged worried glances. Sunny Hostin shifted in her seat, visibly uncomfortable. But Joy wasn't finished, and Jennifer, she was still trying to figure out whether this was a joke or something far more personal. But this wasn't the worst of it. Not by a long shot. Because what came next would turn tension into open hostility and leave Jennifer Lopez visibly shaken. Keep watching, it's about to unravel. Jennifer's smile, once effortless, had started to strain. She shifted in her seat just slightly, the way someone does when they feel the ground beneath them start to move, still composed, still professional. But the warmth in her eyes was flickering. Fast. "I think that's a really narrow way to look at my work," she said, her tone still calm but noticeably firmer. "Each film I've done brings a different voice, a new message, and many of them I've also produced. I'm deeply involved in shaping those stories." But Joy didn't back off. "Oh, creative control," she said, her eyebrows arching, as she made exaggerated air quotes with her fingers. "Is that what we're calling it now? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you found a formula that sells tickets and you've been milking it, regardless of whether it's actually moving the art form forward." That word art hung in the air like an accusation. Jennifer's posture stiffened. Her voice dropped half a register, not in volume but in weight. "I'm not sure what this is, Joy," she said, "but I didn't come here to be interrogated. I'm proud of the work I do. I've built a career from the ground up, and I've never stopped evolving." Joy smirked, attacked. "No one's attacking you, Jennifer. I'm just asking the questions people are thinking. Everyone sees the red carpets and the headlines, the fairy tale life. But when the lights go out, who are you really?" Jennifer blinked. "Excuse me? You heard me?" Joy said, behind the glitz, the brand, the perfect image. "What's actually there?" The audience gasped. Even the crew couldn't hide their reactions. It wasn't just hard-hitting journalism anymore, it was veering into something darker, something personal. Jennifer's response was quiet but steel-lined. "Are you implying I'm fake? Because I value privacy? Because I work to present myself professionally in an industry that chews women up for showing vulnerability. Joy let out a scoff that sliced through the room like glass. Oh, is that what we're calling it now? Professionalism. Is that what we call all the public relationships, the tabloid dramas, the endless need to stay in the spotlight, even when there's no project to promote? Jennifer's face didn't fall. It froze. She was no longer just holding back discomfort. She was holding back fury. My relationships, my personal life are mine, she said, voice low, controlled. Just because they've been covered by the media doesn't give you or anyone else a license to weaponize them. But Joy leaned in again, clearly sensing her power. Are they really private? When you're calling the paps to get shots of your dinner dates? When your publicist releases statements about every breakup, every reunion, you can't ride the media wave when it suits you and cry foul when someone finally asks real questions. The silence that followed was thunderous. And then Jennifer stood. Not in a rage, not with dramatics, but with the quiet finality of someone who has decided. Enough. The chair scraped backward. The audience collectively flinched. Real questions, Jennifer echoed. What you're doing isn't journalism, Joy. It's baiting, it's personal, and it's unprofessional. But Joy wasn't done. Not even close. And what she said next would escalate things to a point no one could have predicted. The gloves were off now. Keep watching. The real storm was just beginning. Joy's eyes narrowed, and for a flicker of a second, something almost gleeful passed over her face. Unprofessional, she repeated with a smirk. I think it's unprofessional to waltz onto a talk show and expect nothing but praise and softballs. This isn't your personal fan club, Jennifer. It's The View. We ask questions. The other hosts were visibly tense now. Sunny Hostin's hand hovered as if she was about to step in, but Joy held her ground, soaking in the moment, like she'd waited for it. Jennifer wasn't smiling anymore. Her hands were clenched at her sides, but her voice didn't waver. You seem to be confusing journalism with cruelty, she said. There's a way to challenge someone without demeaning them. There's a way to be curious without being vicious. Joy leaned forward, her voice rising. You want to talk about cruelty? She snapped. You know what's cruel? Churning out soulless movies that insult the audience's intelligence? Taking roles from talented actresses who might have brought something real to them, acting like you're relatable while living in a world none of us could dream of stepping into. Jennifer's breath caught, not because she was shocked anymore, but because the attack had turned surgical. You don't know me, she said, her voice now shaking not with fear, but with rage. You don't know what I've faced, what I've fought for, or how hard I've had to work to stay standing in an industry that told me over and over that I wasn't enough. Oh, here we go, Joy said, waving a hand. Cue the inspirational speech. The underdog story. Poor Jennifer. Lopez fighting the odds from her mansion in the Hollywood Hills. The audience gasped again. Jennifer's voice cracked, not with weakness, but with unfiltered emotion. You want to mock my story? Fine, but don't you dare pretend it doesn't matter. Don't pretend I haven't had to prove myself every step of the way. From the days I was told I was to Latina, to curvy, to Bronx, to fit into their perfect little mold, to now, where I still have to justify my success to people like you? Joy rolled her eyes. Oh, please. Everyone faces rejection in this business. You just turned yours into a brand. That's not resilience. That's marketing. Jennifer's eyes narrowed. This isn't just about me anymore, she said quietly. This is about how you treat every guest who doesn't fit into your idea of what's respectable or valuable. Joy scoffed, and for the first time, just for a beat, her voice lost its confidence. I have standards, she shot back. I've sat across from world leaders, scientists, real game changers. You think I'm supposed to pretend your latest rom-com is world-shaking just because you're wearing designer heels? Jennifer's next words landed like a dagger. You think my work doesn't matter because it doesn't fit your definition of important? But let me tell you something. Bringing people joy, making them feel seen, giving them hope, that is important. You just don't see it because somewhere along the line you stopped seeing people. You just see headlines. And for the first time since the interview began, Joy didn't have a response. She opened her mouth, closed it, then masked the stumble with that same tired laugh, but it didn't land this time. Not with the audience, not with the crew, and not with the co-hosts who were now visibly stunned. Jennifer had flipped the script, but the moment that would define the entire interview and spark a firestorm across social media was still to come, because what Jennifer did next, no one saw coming. By now, the studio didn't feel like a set anymore. It felt like a courtroom, and Jennifer Lopez had just taken control of the room. She turned toward Joy, eyes locked, voice ice calm, but laced with fire. You want to talk about professionalism? Joy, she asked, no longer masking anything. A real professional prepares meaningful questions. A real interviewer invites conversation, not conflict. And a real host doesn't use their platform to tear down another woman just to feel powerful. Joy's mask slipped? Just slightly. "Oh, so now you're here to teach me how to do my job?" she snapped, her tone rising again. That's rich, coming from someone whose biggest performance lately was choosing which red carpet pose to strike. Jennifer didn't blink. "No, I'm here to remind you that what you just did wasn't journalism. It was mean-spirited, it was performative. And it wasn't about asking tough questions, it was about scoring a viral moment by tearing someone else apart." Joy scoffed again, her fallback move. But the audience wasn't laughing with her anymore. The room had shifted and she could feel it. Jennifer's tone dropped an octave. "You think you're the only person in this industry who's allowed to ask the hard questions? But what you're doing right now, this isn't hard-hitting. It's harmful. It's not truth-telling. It's cruelty with a microphone." The audience was silent. Joy opened her mouth to speak. But Jennifer wasn't finished. "I've been in this business for over 20 years, she continued. "I've made my mistakes. I've had my missteps. But I've owned every part of that journey and I've never once tried to tear someone else down just to prop myself up." Joy's voice cracked. "Spare me the motivational monologue. Jennifer, you're not a martyr. You're just upset someone didn't treat you like royalty for once." Jennifer stepped forward, the poise in her every movement undeniable. "You want to talk about royalty?" she asked. "No one's asking for a throne, but basic respect. That shouldn't be a luxury." The studio lights seemed to buzz louder. Now the only sound that filled the space between them, and then Joy said it. "Maybe if you weren't so used to being surrounded by yes people, you'd know what a real conversation feels like." That was the final push. Jennifer's jaw tensed. Her posture straightened. But her words didn't come from anger this time. They came from something deeper. Disappointment, no. Joy. "This wasn't a conversation. This was a takedown," she said, her voice unwavering. "And maybe you don't even realize it. But in trying to humiliate me, all you really did was expose yourself." She turned to the co-hosts, her tone softening. "I want to apologize. To the rest of you, this isn't how I hoped this would go. I came here to talk about my work, my projects, to connect with people. But clearly, that was never the intention on your end." Then she faced the camera.com. Clear, commanding to anyone watching this. "I want to say this isn't what the view is supposed to be. I've sat on this couch before. I've been treated with grace, even when the questions were tough. But what happened today? This wasn't that. This was something else," Joy interrupted, trying to salvage control. "Jennifer, come on, it's just television. Interviews get heated. You're blowing this out of proportion." Jennifer's smile returned, but it wasn't the one she walked in with. It was the kind of smile someone wears when they've decided to walk away with their dignity intact. "No, Joy. What I'm doing is drawing a line. Because what just happened here? That's not about journalism. That's not about TV. That's about how we treat people when we think no one will hold us accountable." She looked down, collected her things, and stood up, fully tall, centered. "Resolute. You had a choice today," she said. "You could have used your voice to ask meaningful questions, to elevate a conversation, to inspire someone watching at home. Instead, you used it to tear down, and I hope it was worth it." The studio was frozen. Even the audience didn't know whether to clap or cry. And then, just before she turned to leave, Jennifer looked at Joy one last time. "I'm walking away from this," she said. "Not because I can't handle criticism, but because I refuse. To accept disrespect, there's a difference." Her heels echoed across the floor as she left the set. Not hurried, not ashamed. Just done, and in her wake, all that remained was silence. The cameras stayed on Joy, who sat motionless, face flushed, hands fidgeting. Clearly aware that something irreversible had just occurred, Sunny Hostin finally spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "Well, that wasn't how today was supposed to go. The commercial break cue was late. No one was moving fast. Everyone knew they'd just witnessed a moment that would be replayed, reposted, and remembered." Jennifer Lopez had left the building, but what she left behind was a reckoning. As the cameras finally cut and the studio lights dimmed, the weight of what had just happened lingered in the air like smoke. The silence wasn't just awkward, it was loaded. Everyone in that room knew they'd just watched something that wouldn't be forgotten. Jennifer Lopez didn't storm out. She didn't yell. She didn't break down. She stood up. And sometimes that's louder than anything else. What began as a simple promotional interview had turned into a defining moment, not just for Jennifer, but for every viewer watching who's ever felt cornered, dismissed, or disrespected under the guise of just asking questions. Because what happened on that set wasn't a debate. It wasn't journalism. It was a reminder that no matter how famous, successful, or composed someone may be, nobody deserves to be ambushed, diminished, or dehumanized in the name of entertainment. And Jennifer made a choice that millions wished they had the courage to make. She walked away, not from a show, but from a narrative that tried to reduce her worth to headlines, soundbites, and tabloid stereotypes. She reminded us all, sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is no. This isn't okay. Now the real question is, what happens next? Will networks rethink how they treat their guests? Will audiences start demanding more from the media they consume? And most of all, will Joy Behar face the accountability that's long overdue? We'll let you be the judge of that. But before you go, take a moment to hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Do you think Jennifer did the right thing by walking off? Or should she have stayed and confronted Joy until the end? Let's talk about it, and if you want more powerful moments like this one, don't forget to subscribe because this is only the beginning.